Hi. I'm on. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm going to mute my video feed just for a second. Oh, wait. I just saw somebody else.
Can you hear me?
Hey. Hi, Stacey.
Hi.
Hi, gals.
Hey.
Let's wait a minute or two because I think there's some other folks that said they were coming. We'll just give them a chance to hang or get in there. Did the second link work better, Stace?
It still took me to that page. I had to like click on open in Google Hangouts. I don't know. My Facebook app
Okay.
is like messing up a lot lately. Like if I click on a link to look at an article that somebody posted, it'll freeze, and I like just have to wait for Facebook to unfreeze or hit the back button a million times until it decides to go out and that.
Okay. Well, I was having some problems with my Chrome on my computer about a week ago. And, oh yeah, I remember when all those error messages were happening and that guy called me and wanted to sell me a service for $250 to fix it. It ended up being just to uninstall and then reinstall Chrome on my device. So
Yeah, I might have to do that. Yeah. Yeah, even updated like
where is everybody? Hello? I just heard something. And it tells you when you do a Google Hangout, if you're doing it off a PC, it'll tell you how many other viewers you have. Hi, Kelsey. Now I can see you. It'll show you like how many people are watching via YouTube too. So it sets the number of viewers down. It says 0 viewers right now, and I can see that the 2 of you are on. So the viewers must have to do with other people like watching through YouTube or whatever. So I think I'll try this one too. Anyway, like I said, we've got some people that haven't used Google Hangouts very much before, so I'm going to wait a few minutes in case they're struggling. Or try this. There we go.
Do you guys hear that noise too?
Yeah. Stacey,
okay.
Are you on your
phone? I am on my phone, so it's probably vibrating every time.
Oh, okay.
A notification. I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
Can you hear that now?
I could.
We'll wait to get a notification come in, message you or something.
Oh, see. That's why I asked. I just got a phone, so.
No, I couldn't hear it that time.
Okay.
How are you guys doing? We can chit chat while we're waiting. What's going on? What's new?
I got full-time at my job. Plus, I'm working doubles, so I've been really tired.
Yeah? How are you liking it?
I like my job. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you saying something about someone being like, well, yeah, you just work with animals, right? That should be easy. And you're like,
Yeah, it's not.
Easy is not the word I would use, right? That's funny.
What do you do, Kelsey?
I work at the ARL. I don't know if you know where that is in Ankeny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have over 700 animals in the back right now.
Oh, wow.
So we're pretty full.
700?
Yeah, I think it's like 780 or something like that right now.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Are there more dogs or more cats?
Definitely more cats. Tons of cats.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to go on a like spaying strike or something where we can increase awareness about something. I don't know.
Yeah.
A rant, yes, we'll go on a rant. Savannah said a rant, you mean? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I don't want to keep you guys too long. So first, before we start, we're definitely going to do some training about using social media. I think once we first started using social media for marketing, first of all, I was annoying a lot of people, and second of all, I was on it all the time. It was driving me crazy. Like I couldn't get a whole lot of other stuff done because I was just constantly on my phone or on the computer trying to keep up with it all. Um, so now that I feel competent in my abilities to do social media both appropriately and effectively and still not devote my whole entire life and soul to it, I felt like I finally had something to share with you about it. So before we start, I guess, do you have any specific questions you want to make sure that get addressed during the training? That's like on your mind? Not to put you on the spot, but
I probably will later, but not right now.
okay. And then before we get done tonight, I want to, we had a compliance call the other day, and nobody's in trouble or anything, but I got a chance to sit in on the conference call with the Thompsons and ask, hi, Julie! Hi. You did it! Yay! Welcome. Isn't this great? You don't even leave your kids to go to training. It's so awesome.
Yay!
You find your way in okay? Did you find your way in okay?
I think she froze.
Maybe. It does look froze. Are you there? Anyway, I'll just keep talking. Sorry. It always looks like I'm looking down too because I'm looking at you guys across the bottom of the screen, but I should just look into the camera. That's what one of our mentors, Robert Hollis, does. He looks right into the camera and giggles a lot. So anyway, yeah, the compliance call went really well the other day. I got a chance. I'm kind of one of those people, like I have to know exactly where the line is so that I can walk right up to it but not cross over it. And especially the whole FDA thing has had me feeling a little like silenced, I guess. So it was really important to me to find out what, I mean, I can focus a lot on what we can't say anymore, but I really wanted to know what can we say and how can we say it. And so that I felt really positive. I called Stacy all excited on my way home from the call the other day because I'm like, finally, we have some answers. So don't let me forget to mention the compliance stuff at the very end, and we'll go over that some. It's going to be a process, though, so it's not something that 5 minutes of training is going to fix. But we definitely have a direction to go in the future, and I'm really excited about that. So.
Wait, is everybody frozen except us?
Yeah, Stacy looks frozen too. I just upgraded my router today, so my connection is so super sweet, like a ninja. It's so fast. The kids are watching a video on Netflix, and it's not interrupting my signal. My Wi-Fi on my phone's turned on. I've got a tablet in the other room turned on. This thing can support 10 devices. I'm so happy with it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's at Best Buy. It was only $100.
Man, whenever Tanner's watching videos and we're trying to watch Netflix, we're like, Tanner, stop watching YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. They have a even better one that I could have bought, but he said that most of our devices are probably too old to go that fast. So whatever.
Wow.
I guess we need new devices. Let's get it really fast so we can get new devices.
Yeah. Oh shoot, we have to get new computer, tablet.
Yeah. Don't break my heart with a new phone, right? Yeah, I am horrible about that stuff too. As soon as the Note Edge came out, I was discontented with my Note 2. So anyway, but I heard a rumor that US Cellular has a Note 3 or 4 coming out, and it's going to be cheaper than the one I have. So I'm like waiting. Anyway, okay, so Facebook. We're going to concentrate mostly on Facebook tonight. First of all, just to kind of give you a feel for what Facebook is like, and most of you probably know this already, but Facebook is like walking into a party. Most people like to have positive, upbeat, or informational or helpful information on Facebook, like pictures of your kids or pictures of your dog, pictures of anybody that's important to you. Of course, pictures and videos get more likes, comments, and shares than just plain text. So that's, the first couple of tidbits. But really just respecting that what you're doing is walking into a group of people. Now, there are other types of Facebook pages that you can have, and we will get into that when we talk about the compliance stuff, because there was some fine-tuning about how you present yourself on Facebook and how that affects the rules you have to follow. So, anyway, but we're just, for the context of this conversation, we're just talking about like a personal Facebook page so that when you comment, it says Kelsey Burt or it says Stacy Sandwich, it says Sasha Park. Hi, you want to say hi to everybody? They're on the video. See Stacy and Kelsey and my friend Julie.
Hi.
No, that's not Grandma Julie. That's that's my friend Julie Watson. Grandma Julie was invited, but she's probably busy right now. Yeah. That's up to Sophie. Okay, then yes.
Cute.
Oh, that was very nice. Thank you for asking. So, yeah, so just remembering that they usually say it's about an 80-20 ratio. So if you're using a personal page to talk about anything business related, that 80% of the things you post during a day or a week or any given time frame should be personal, and 20% of the time you can post stuff about, you know, a product or whatever that you love without totally annoying your friends and family. So, because really, if you think about like other things that you've watched on other people's timelines, I don't mind hearing about, I don't know, a great new organic peach that's so rare or something. I mean, like, I don't mind knowing about that stuff. And frankly, if I was at a party with all of you and you heard about a great new book, you would tell me about it. So again, it's just honoring that it's kind of a party-like atmosphere and that you're not going to go, hey, you have to read this book. You're more like, hey, I just read this awesome book. And if if the person responds back, then you engage in a conversation about it. But if nobody seems interested, you don't keep shouting at it from the rooftops. So, and that was the mistake that I was making before I did some training on social media, was that I was posting too much product information too often, trying to pique people's interest. The other thing is that a lot of Facebook groups won't let you spam the people in the group. And what spamming basically means is using any and every opportunity to mention your product. So I don't really think that's the true definition of spamming. Spamming, in my definition, is getting unsolicited emails just because I bought a bra at Victoria's Secret and gave them my email address. That's what I think that spamming is, or telemarketing or whatever. But again, just honoring that a group is a topic of conversation about a specific thing. So, so like, let's say I was invited into one of those Jamberry groups. Nothing against any of my friends who are also on our Young Living team that do Jamberry. I love you guys. I adore you. But please stop adding me to groups without asking me if I want to be in it first. As a #1 fail-safe offending rule on Facebook is to include somebody in a group conversation that doesn't want to be there, or in a group sales pitch that wasn't asked first. The key word, according to Seth Godin, the author of The Purple Cow, is that it's all about permission marketing. So permission marketing is just that I'm going to wait for you to grant me permission to share with you about my amazing new product, my Jamberry nails, or my awesome, wonderful Young Living, or whatever. So, so the key is getting permission, and permission can look different depending on the context of the conversation. So sometimes it would be okay if a conversation started on my timeline about an article that I would share a post, like a link to in the comments to a website. Sometimes it would be appropriate to bring that conversation into a private message, and that way I'm just having a conversation with that person rather than forcing everybody that's watching my timeline to follow along with the sales pitch. So and so if you guys have any questions, please either stop me or write it down. We'll address them later. But the main thrust of what I'm trying to tell you is just honoring that it's a party type atmosphere, kind of like being at a perpetual birthday party, and that people don't want to be inundated with advertisements in that setting. So to honor the more of a conversational style, and of course you can be intentional and purposeful about conversational style marketing on Facebook, and we might need to maybe spend some time doing a training about that some other time too. I can show you, okay, I'm going to screen share for a second, so you're going to lose me. I want to share my entire screen, yeah. Okay, and I'll show you a conversation that happened on Facebook the other day that kind of illustrates my point here. So, yes, I have a point. I'll illustrate it to you now. Okay, so I'm going to go over to my timeline. Wow, it's still moving fast. Look at that, Kelsey. That new router, look at how fast it loaded. Go ahead, be jealous. It's cool. I'm stunned by it. I thought, well, this will be the real test. I'm gonna start a video feed and see if it'll respond. So, okay, where did it go? One of the other rules of thumb, you notice that I ignore this rule, but one of the other rules of thumb is to not put heavily heated or emotionally heated topics on your timeline if you use it for business, and I obviously ignore that rule a lot. So, okay, so here we go. I put the Johnson & Johnson admits our baby products contain formaldehyde. So I got 6 comments in there. My friend Christina sounded like Aveeno. Okay, so she says Aveeno isn't much better, and then she said she uses Just Hatched, and I said, oh yeah, I'll look into that. So I'm making a rapport-based statement. You guys know I'm not going to probably look into the Just Hatched products because I'm pretty happy with Young Living, but I'm trying to rapport build, like, yeah, we're on the same page. I definitely need to get away from those Johnson & Johnson things. And then I'm like, oh, but I use a ton of products from an online health store. Notice I haven't mentioned their name yet. I've been to their farms, so I know exactly what's going into those bottles. And she's like, wow, that's the way to go. I do what I can to find safe stuff in stores. And I said, yeah, I get points back on my purchases too, so points back equals free stuff. And then somebody else commented about how, yeah, I like Castile soap too. You guys know that. What I could have done with Christina at this point, just after I commented back and she was like, that's the way to go. At that point, I probably should have started a private message with her and just asked, like, hey, well, how many products have you tried? And how comfortable are you doing this online? And just keeping that conversation going in a private message. I didn't because I don't know her very well. But I could still do this. This just happened the other day, so it wouldn't be dead news if I offered to send her a video about Young Living Seed to Seal or something relevant to that conversation. And again, I'm going to get her permission first, so if we keep talking about it and her interest does seem to be genuinely piqued, then I could say, well, would it be okay if I just sent you a video that you could get more information about it? So you're not going to, so one of the mistakes a lot of new to social media marketers do is that they see something like this and then they just bombard that person on their timeline. Like an inexperienced marketer would have kept responding with her right here in public, so to speak, where trying to get her to that sales decision. And what we learned in boot camp would be that just piquing her interest is enough, and then all I'm going to do is invite her gently to look at something that would give her more information about it, and she can take it or leave it. And again, the sales pressure at that point isn't to buy something, it's to just take a peek at something that will help her decide something. So, and every correspondence should lead to some other exposure. So probably the next step, if I were to follow up with this, and I probably will in the next day or two, I just got busy over the weekend, is to just say, hey, can I send you Nature's Wisdom? I think she would be appropriate for the video called Nature's Wisdom, because it talks about just the importance of getting the chemicals out of your life. Or we could even start a little smaller. We have a video called It All Starts With a Friend that just really focuses on just that chemical-free piece of it. And it doesn't really answer the question what to do instead yet, but it does continue the conversation of, yeah, there's a lot of bad chemicals in our lives. A lot of times before I start a personal conversation with somebody that I don't know very well on Facebook, I will go to their page, just like you see me doing now, and look at, well, what else do we have in common? What other things does she seem passionate about that I also seem passionate about? Again, I'm not to manipulate her, but just people need to be able to see themselves in their relationship with you in order to trust you. So, yeah, I mean, obviously she cares about some of the same like scriptural things that I care about. You see a lot of faith-based statements on here. I'm a big fan of Jim Staley, so we could talk about Jim Staley. That's a copy of a post I shared. Or actually, I think maybe I copied that from her. But anyway, so we have a handful of other things in common besides just our love for chemical-free products that we could also have a conversation on. That's important because if for some reason I go to this private message with her and start to pique interest and she's not interested, I want to switch the subject because I'm not trying to I don't want to make her feel like the only reason I want to be her friend is to sell her something. while that may have been true maybe at one point, that just should never be a policy of anybody. Again, that's a mistake I used to make. I used to just look for prospects and leads, and now I really am trying to go about collecting friends. And I think I'm doing a good job. I think I have over 1,000 friends. Yeah, 1,068 friends. Ooh, somebody must have unfriended me in the last week. I had 1,069 last week. So, and I'm not bragging. I just want to make lots of friends. It's like setting out a big cast net or a drag net. And then I'm just going to get to know people, and when the opportunity arises that they might need something, then I'm going to be able to be available to help. So I like this way of doing business because it puts me in a position of not being a salesperson, but being a helpful friend instead. If I'm too focused on trying to get to that "Are you ready to buy?" statement, I come across pushy, and some people responded to that. Obviously, you guys are all here because you responded okay to being a little pushed at times, but and even then, I'm not even sure that I did. I guess I'm just saying that it's the best way to do it is to really just find that commonality and then just offer a helpful solution. And honestly, that's how Melissa introduced me to beads. I was just in a place where I needed beads and had a healthy body that needed beads. Anyway, sorry. Martha. Anyway, or Marsha, I think we're going to start calling every time we want to say something FDA non-compliant, we're just going to start joking around and saying Marsha. Harsha, yeah. Anyway, so, but yeah, she was just trying to be my friend and say, hey, this is something I believe in and I trust, and it might help you. So here, try it, you know. So, any questions so far? That's kind of a review for. I know Kelsey's going through boot camp. Stacey's been in boot camp, so far I'm mostly reviewing the information. But let me know if there's something I said that was unclear, or if you have any questions so far.
I don't.
No? Okay. All right. So then I was reading up on some Facebook optimization because, again, I don't really want to be one of the gals I was working with right after boot camp was seriously on the computer probably 70 hours a week marketing. And her goal was to talk to 70 new people a day, which she was doing beautifully, but I can't do that. So I'm all like, wait a second, you know. I have 2 little kids at home. You guys all have lives. You know, we can't just sit in front of the computer and play Facebook all day. So, so I found this article, and once I find the source of this article, I will post it in the event so you guys can read it for yourself if you want. But I'm just going to summarize it for you. I made a cute little chart. Even look, I'm color coded. Okay, so this is a lot of information. You're going to see that there's 6 different social medias on here. We've got Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, LinkedIn. I don't want to overwhelm you with 6 different formats at this point. We're just going to talk about Facebook. Facebook's my stuff in blue. 1, 2, 3. Look at. So you could easily get away with 3 business-related posts a week if you wanted to. You can do more than that, but based on the information that we got from this article I read, it said that any Facebook post with an image or a video does better than ones without. If you get any negative comments or things that suggest that a follower was unhappy with what you posted or concerned about it, you should respond to it within an hour. Again, the best way to do that is just follow your notifications. It still doesn't require you to be sitting in front of the computer, but I get my notifications on my phone so I can just briefly glance and see how people are responding to something I've said. So, and if there's something negative, to respond to it right away so that person feels heard and listened to. Okay, and the retail rule of thumb, and that we would all qualify for that, is that you should do no more than 1 to 4 posts a week that are kind of advertisement related, and certainly no more than 1 to 2 a day. They did a survey among a bunch of random Facebook users and said, well, hey, your favorite product people are probably like Best Buy and whoever, you know, how often do you like to see those advertisements pop up on your timeline? So if they don't like advertisements that often, then they probably don't like unsolicited advertisers, any media you use, at this point you expect advertisements. Like when I pull up a YouTube video, I expect an ad to be rolling when I try to load a video. So They expect to be advertised to, but they don't want to be advertised to any more than once or twice a day on Facebook. So if your personal feed is advertising more than that, that's annoying them. And then the best post, this was the thing that probably struck me as the most interesting. The best post is 40 to 80 characters long and ends with a follow-up question. Like, I could have made that Johnson & Johnson post a little bit better if I had said something about my reaction to it, and then asked, well, what do you think about this? And then, the post would be encouraging people to read the article and then tell me what they thought about it. So one of my friends, and you can go to my timeline and check her out. I mean, that's the beauty of Facebook. You don't even have to be friends with her. You can see part of her timeline. But she's really good. Her name's Lori Kavinsky Johnson. She's really good. Oh, God love me if she ever ends up on this team and listens to this video. But she's really good at permission marketing. And she's not even in marketing. She's a teacher, but she won't share a resource with you, for example, without asking your permission to share it with you first. So like the other day we were talking about something, and the subject is irrelevant to this conversation, but I did show some curiosity in the subject. Then we talked about it some more, and then she goes, well, if you think you would like to read up on it, I have a couple links I could share with you. And I said, yeah, sure, send me some links. Now, my motivation to read the links is like 100% or maybe 85% or higher at least. Like by the time she asked my permission to send it because we had talked enough, I knew I was interested in reading it. Now, if she had offered the link 3 days earlier than that when the conversation was still in the peak, my curiosity stage, I might have been only about 20. I mean, I was kind of interested in the topic anyway. That's why we started the conversation. But I don't know that I was ready to read anything about it yet, or I don't know. Again, that's something we have to be sensitive to because, like, especially on your phone, if it's going to take me more than 5 minutes to read an article, I have to know, I have to commit to the article before I even open it to be willing to invest that kind of time reading it. Videos are even worse. If the video is over 3.5 minutes long, I most likely will stop at 30 seconds in if I'm not that interested. And I'm not trying to be rude. Again, to anybody that sent me a video that happens to watch this, it isn't anything rude. It's just, this is kind of, I think it's kind of a modicum of how people feel. Like if it's not instant information, if it's going to take me longer than 3 or 4 minutes, 90% of the time people are on the go. They don't want to spend their mobile data watching a 5-minute video that they're not really that interested in. So we just have to be sensitive to that and make sure we have their permission. Now, if in my case, she gave me permission, even if it had been an hour-long video, I would have made sure I was home on my Wi-Fi and set aside time to watch it because at that point I was super interested in what she was sharing with me. Okay, so the other thing was Facebook users. This is funny. Facebook users, first of all, if you, like, there's a handful of us stay at home. So I kind of lost touch with the way the rest of the world performs on Facebook after I quit working outside of the home. And so, wouldn't you know it, most people are not on Facebook all day long. But they tend to get on it in the afternoon when they're really bored at their job. So the best time to post anything on Facebook that you want seen is between the hours of 1 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. People are super, super productive on Mondays and Tuesdays. I don't know, or maybe their bosses are in the office, I'm not sure. But they spend less time on Facebook at work on Mondays and Tuesdays. Now, the other thing you need to know is that everybody's, friend profile is different because obviously, like maybe out of 1,000 friends, maybe 20% of them stay at home, and most of them are the ones that are interacting with my posts. So I'm not sure where I wrote it down, but there is a program that you can subscribe to that will actually give you feedback based on your friends to give you like the most precise information about when your friends are watching your timeline. So if you want to spend the money to be that precise, otherwise I think the 1 to 3 guidelines are pretty good. And Friday afternoons are like the best. But the best as in they're on it the most. But interestingly enough, the engagement goes down the closer to the end of the week because people are just scrolling through. Like sometimes it's just kind of like getting my visual candy in, So I'm not really even reading. I'm just skimming, looking for pictures of people's kids or whatever, looking for anything interesting that might be going on this weekend. Not really reading everything. I skip over really boring stuff, So the best time to put a retail post is 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesdays, and then more conversational posts at the same time of that day the rest of the week. to get the most engagement. There's a thing behind the scenes in Facebook land called an algorithm. That algorithm actually determines how many people see your post, and the only way to beat the algorithm is to post other stuff the rest of the week that people like, comment, and share. And the more they like, comment, and share, the more often your stuff gets seen by everybody. So, and that's especially true with fan pages, which I told you we're not really going to get into tonight. I don't actually like fan pages. I think they're a waste of time. I would rather just be a person on Facebook and do the person thing, and then be respectful of the fact that these are people just trying to enjoy their lives around me instead of market. So, interestingly enough, too, just because we're going to do Twitter probably next month, the Twitter time frame is about the same time of day. So based on everything I've read about these different social medias, you should be able to get away with, like, maybe spending Sunday. Sunday is not a very good social media day for anybody. There's hardly anybody on Google+. I mean, there's a handful of us that still use it that day, but I don't know why, because nobody else is. It's like wasting our time. It'll get buried down in the timeline by the time anybody sees it Monday. So Google+ is the best first thing in the morning. Explain that one to me. I don't get that, but anyway, Twitter and Facebook have got similar usage patterns. Not the same, but very similar. So you could come up with like 3 or 4 really intriguing conversational building posts on Sunday, and then just when Wednesday at 3 o'clock rolls around, go take your afternoon lunch break, post it up to Facebook, and see what people, and start a conversation, and then do it again Thursday afternoon. And so you see you could do the bulk of it outside of work hours, and then just all you have to do is just load it up as soon at those times. If you do use a fan page, they have a scheduling feature where you could actually do all the work on Sunday, and it would automatically post it for you on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I think that's everything that we could probably swallow in a little bit of time tonight. If you want more training about social media, like I said, I'm going to dig up the sources of these articles I read. I know where I found them, but I don't have it written down for some reason. So I will share that on the Facebook event here in a little bit so that you can read up on that yourself. And it did go through, like I said, all 6 of the different social media formats. It was a little overwhelming. That's why I made a chart, to be honest with you. I can take a picture of this chart if you want to, or make it on a spreadsheet so you can have it too. So anyway, yeah. Okay, so back to the compliance stuff. I told you. Do you have any questions before we change the subject to FDA compliance? Anyone?
Are we gonna do a training about 3-way calls at all?
We can.
Like, I don't know, just kind of cover like how it would work.
Sure.
Okay, well then I won't ask any questions.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. Because you've been going through boot camp, you also know that once you send the video, at least after Nature's Wisdom, you would then set up a 3-way call. And you don't have to set up a 3-way call for everyone. You especially have to with the color personality red and blue. Hi, Tanner! Anyway, because I guess I don't really know. Well, because reds don't believe you anyway, and blues are very social, so they like that social validation, knowing that someone else is also saying the same thing you are, and they seem to be more qualified to say it. So,
right.
I guess, Stacy, would you agree that yellows and greens don't necessarily need the 3-way call as often?
I can't test the fact of green. Maybe, did Terry say, like, if you're talking about the health side of things, like a professional doctor, that type of
Sure.
personality would do good with a 3-way call. The yellows, I don't think that's something that, me personally, I don't think they would need.
Yeah, like, that's what I mean. Like, a yellow, if they trust you, it wouldn't matter if you had 7 people agree with you or only 1 person agree with you or nobody. Or even if they really trusted you and nobody agreed with you, they would still trust you. So I guess that's why the 3-way doesn't seem as significant to a yellow. And the couple of greens I've tried to do a 3-way call on, because they're so introverted, they were almost pulled out of the conversation because they were like, I just want to deal with you. I don't really know why you keep trying to get me on the phone with your mentor. That's just my experience. I don't think that'll be necessarily true with all greens, because sometimes greens are really skeptical and they need to hear from someone that maybe has some letters behind their name, like a doctor person, like one of our chiropractors on our team. That might help a green, but just to hear from, one of my friends that's also on the team, that's not going to be very persuasive to them, because they are not usually persuaded anyway. And like Big Al says, a lot of times with greens, you just need to wait 3.5 weeks, 3.4 weeks, and they'll make up their mind on their own. Lots and lots of information. And the quickest green conversion, if you want to call it that. I hate using sales terms because it is really. So it's a gal that I met in a public place about a year ago, and then when I was in boot camp, she put something on her timeline that helped me feel like it was the right time to share more information. And I not only sent her the video, I sent her like gobs and gobs of. I mean, she just kept like, I got a chance to look at that, but I'm still not sure. Do you have any more information? So I gave her like what I would consider information overload. And she came to the conclusion on her own. I never got this three-way call. She sold herself on it. So that is how greens typically work. You cannot push them into it. They have to really just come to the decision on their own page. So anyway, yeah, Big Al says give them as much information as they want right now and let them simmer for 3.4 weeks, and they'll make a decision on their own. Excellent question. But Stacy and I actually, because we went through training together, we would practice three-way calls with each other. So I'd be happy to set up a time to do that with you if you want to just make some care calls to, I don't know, we can, just to get through the technology usage, although you probably are a master at using your cell phone to make a three-way call.
I have no idea how to make a three-way call.
Okay.
Oh, see, I thought, wow, this is something from the 80s. Everybody that graduated 10 years younger than me would probably know exactly how to do this. But you're right, it's something we don't do very often either.
Yeah.
I've used them. Yeah. I've done it once or twice this last week with people on my team that had an issue. So we did a three-way call with customer service. So.
Oh yeah, I've done that too. Well, because there really are things that I can't do, and so I'll just go, well, I don't know the answer to that, but I can get customer service on the phone that can help us both, Or right after the new kit came out, Stacy and I three-wayed ourselves onto a call with customer service so that we could hear the same stuff at the same time.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. So if you want, we can practice calling anybody just so you get comfortable with that piece. And then as far as the verbiage of an actual live three-way call, the best thing to do, I found, is just to edify the person that so let's say I'm calling Stacy and you're my three-way person we're going to bring into the call later. So I would just tell and pique their interest about you and how awesome you are. And then that way, once you get on the call, of course, saying, this is Miss Burt I was telling you about, rather than, this is my friend Kelsey, So this is just my friend Kelsey, So that way you're kind of building that person up or their reputation up. Again, that just helps the person trust that I put you on the phone with somebody that's important to me and should be important to you too. And then I actually, honestly, usually once I transfer the conversation over, I mute it so that I say pretty much nothing else and let that other person do all the talking. So then at the very end, when they're done, and the couple of people, like grads that I practiced three-way calls with, they would just tell their story. If it was a person who was interested in the health benefits, they would tell a health benefit story of their own about how they got interested in the health benefits of them living themselves. If it was a business person, then of course they would talk about just their own testimony about building the business. Of course, leaving out like specific number values because it's either too little or too much money. Number is the right amount of money, so they don't go out. They don't go, oh, I'm making $500 a month, because for some people that's like, wow, I could never do that, and for other people it's like, you do all that for $500 a month. So it's so subjective. It's never the right dollar figure. So, but anyway, once they tell their testimony, then they usually just go back to the customer and ask if they have questions and let them lead the conversation. And when it seems like they're either ready or they're tuning out, one of the three, then they defer it back to the person that originated the call usually. Yeah, you can tell anybody. You're going to have to keep your voice quiet, though, okay? Okay, so the FDA compliance thing, that was really interesting. And yes, we could actually, Stacey and I have talked about how fun it would be to just sit and do some live training about freeways where you either watch me do one, or sometimes it's better like just to get in the batting box yourself and have someone just listen to you making the calls and hearing your verbiage, and that way. I know it would be really nerve-wracking, but you'll get a lot of good feedback too about. It's hard to hear your own mistakes, you know, when it's just, I don't know, because I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. I'm not really thinking about how it sounds.
Right.
So it would, yeah, I think that would be really beneficial. Tim Sales does the majority of his leadership is all training other people. So he'll just sit on the phone and listen to you make follow-up calls, and then at the end of an hour give you feedback, and just keep doing it until you feel really, really comfortable with the skills. So I'm willing to do that too. I mean, 1 or 2 at a time at first to get your feet wet. So, okay, so the compliance thing. Probably, I don't know, again, it's like 10 after 9, so we're going to have a compliance party. That's the first thing, you know, you need to know. We set up a time, we were gonna go to the library, but the library couldn't get us in until October 20, something crazy. And I didn't think it should probably wait that long, so we're going to have it at Pizza Ranch, because you know how I love Pizza Ranch, and they have Wi-Fi, on October 8th at 6 o'clock, and basically just bring your laptops or whatever you may have shared Young Living content on, and we will sit there and just delete anything that is non-compliant together and use that time to kind of, well, what did you think about this? This one's a little sketchy, it's in the gray area, what do you think about this? So that's the first thing. We'll just have a party where and it'll be tax deductible. You can eat if you want while you're there, and the receipt can go on your taxes. That'd be fun. Anyway, but even if you don't have a lot of content to delete yet, because you maybe haven't started marketing a whole lot, I still encourage you to come because it's just been confusing up till Friday's phone call. I was still confused about where exactly the line was. So the more we talk about it, I think the easier it'll get to know where the line is. So again, kind of if you want to know how compliance feels, the bottom line, what I got from her, or the most helpful thing she said, was that if you think about it as a process of empowering someone to make their own healthcare decisions, rather than you pressuring them to make the decision you're making, that's kind of where the line is. So it's a feeling, it's more of an attraction rather than a promotion. So I can attract someone to using Young Living as for part of their health, but I can't promote it as much as I have been. So I don't know but to me the feeling of I'm empowering them to find maybe research or their own desk reference. We absolutely cannot use the desk reference as an enticement. Like, if you sign up with our team, then we'll give you this desk reference, or we'll give you money towards the desk reference. The reason we can't is because we can't specifically point to a non-compliant resource. And that just about crushed my spirit when I heard that the other day. I mean, I knew we couldn't give them away anymore, but I thought, well, I can still say, oh, you have the flu. Did you look that up in your desk reference? But
so, wait. We can't say, if somebody asks, we can't say, have you checked your desk reference?
No, we can't. We cannot point to we can't point to a specific non-compliant resource. So the reason the desk reference is non-compliant for me to point someone to, it's not, the desk reference in and of itself standalone, that company, Life Science Publishing, they're not doing anything wrong by sharing those studies or those recommendations in their book. That is compliant because they are not financially benefiting from the sale of Young Living products. Because I benefit, even if you're on my downline and I'm getting, 2 or whatever, 4% because you're 6 levels deep, I'm still benefiting from anything I tell you, and therefore I, as a distributor, have to be extremely careful about what information I point you to. Even if the information is accurate, if it is non-compliant, it's still a violation for me to point you to it. What I can say, so like Kelsey, if you call me and say, oh, I've got a fever and I'm throwing up and I think I went to the doctor and he said I have the flu, what can I do? What I can say is, well, what resources do you have that you could look that information up in? Which, I mean, most of us have a desk reference. We are also able, we just found out we are able to have a Facebook group I mean, it's probably not going to be just restricted to our team, but we're going to start putting resources like research studies, clinical trials. As long as the study does not specifically use Young Living products. Like there was a study from the Mayo Clinic about a year and a half ago that indicated that cancer patients taking chemo that their nauseousness was sincerely decreased by using lavender and a couple of other oils. They weren't Young Living lavender. They may have been, but they didn't the study doesn't indicate that. And so that would be, I could share that with someone, but you have to keep the resource information separate from the product transaction. So anytime on Facebook or otherwise, when you're sharing a body of information and it links to a transaction, that is non-compliant. Because we can't, like, or if we did a 101 class and I have the products in the room and a kit for someone to buy at the end of the night, if I have the desk reference in the room at the same time, that's non-compliant. The desk reference implies treatment, and that's why it's non-compliant for me to share it. It implies treatment of a disease. So, so another way to look at it, I guess, because again, that's clear as mud, right? Another way to look at it is that my body, most people on our team, our bodies are normally at a line. You know, like this is my healthy, today I'm healthy, I don't have a fever, I don't have any indication that I'm sick in any way at all. I'm a little tired, I went walking today and I was out in the sun, I think I got a little, but anyway, and I'm a little warm, but that's probably just a normal reaction to being outside all day and windburn. So that my body's at the line or maybe a little healthier than above the line. So if I were to ask you for a suggestion about what to do to enhance my workout or to help me replace my coffee intake in the morning or a weight loss strategy, so maybe I want to do a meal replacement, all those things are above the line. They're going to make my health better than normal. And so anything above the line we can answer directly. We can even, oh yeah, I use the shake, or I love Cool Azul, or I whatever. That's all fair game above the line. Anything below the line, so like my normally healthy body it just dips a little because maybe I was exposed to a virus while I was out shopping and I'm feeling a little under the weather but not sick yet. Anytime it dips under the line, then I can't, as a distributor, share specifically what that person should or shouldn't do. Again, I can empower them to find the information for themselves. Hang on a second. You can't have that much water right before bed. I don't want you to have an accident, okay? Thank you. Yes. Not right now. I'm almost done. Why?
Why?
Why? I'm talking to my friends on the computer. See him? Bessie's right there. Anna was over there too. No, I think he went in the other room. No, that's not Tyler. That's Kelsey. I think Tyler's probably in bed.
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay, so the exciting thing about basically what she said about the Facebook page is that we need to make sure that if you're going to share research articles, that there's no indication on your personal Facebook page that you're a distributor to Young Living. And some people have decided to use their fan page to declare their Young Living alignment. But if your fan page links to your personal page, that's still linking the research article to the sales process, and that's a no-no. So you guys can decide whatever you want to do. I'm personally going to take, you know, like I think it says that I work for Young Living or independent distributor for Young Living, just even in my profile description of where my work history or whatever. So I'm going to take that off, and that way I can still share clinical trials and things like that of Young Living products or non-Young Living products that indicate, you know, lavender's awesome for nausea or whatever. And that's where this research group comes into play again. It's going to be called Naturally Crunchy. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Naturally Crunchy Resources. Is that what we decided to call it?
I have a quick question about that.
Sure.
So if you PM people about the oils and everything, is that linking you as a distributor or no?
Oh, like if somebody asks you a question and you send it via personal message?
Right.
No, that she's just talking about your public presentation of yourself.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually I shared with her that scenario about the Johnson & Johnson article from the other day and said, okay, here's the scenario of what happened with Christina, and if I went this direction, that would be non-compliant. If I went this direction, though, it would be compliant. So what I said was, if I would have carried that conversation on publicly and then ended up with posting a link to my website to go purchase, that would have been non-compliant. And she said yes. I said, now if I decide to react to what she's saying by taking it into a personal message and she decides to buy something based on the information I've given her, that's okay. And she said yes. So oh, and yeah, like I said, we were cheering because we can have 2 separate Facebook groups. So the Team Voila group that you're already all in, except Julie. Julie, I hope that I've said a lot of stuff about Facebook tonight. Please don't get overwhelmed. Just start with a picture of yourself. We'll start small and we'll work our way. Yeah, don't get overwhelmed. Just start small and we'll work on it. It's okay. Most of us on here have been on Facebook for at least 3 years, maybe longer. I don't know. Anyway, so don't get overwhelmed. But and if you do, we probably have an oil for that. So
Okay.
okay. So it's okay if we have the group that we're in, the products, the Team Voila group. The word voila has the word oil in it, so it's pretty oil centric. And so we can talk about product information on there. Again, everything above the line. So we're not going to talk about treating any kind of flu or cold or anything like that in that group. But we can say, oh, I love lavender. It helps me relax at night. I love the smell of it. I put it in my bath salts. I mean, all these things that are above the line uses, we can do that. Then in this other Naturally Crunchy group, we can share resources. So I'm going to have an album that is like a book club where I'm going to post pictures of the cover of like the Desk Reference or the No Vet for My Pet book or other books that you could elect to buy and purchase or buy to have and use as resource manuals. That group, because it's totally separate from the product conversation, the only rule about that group is that we are not allowed to use Young Living in any comments in that group, nor can we use a Young Living trade name. Like Feeds is a trade name, Panaway is a trade name, Stress Away. So any of the blends that have their own unique Young Living name, those. So I could make a post about lavender in general and show a study, my Mayo Clinic study I keep talking about. But I can't say, oh, and if you love lavender, you can buy it at Young Living through my account, So we have to keep the sales process out of that group and leave the product promotion stuff in the other group. So. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but I think it'll be cool because all of us want to read up information. We are talking about indexing everything. Kelsey, I know you're familiar with hashtags, so we just thought if I posted that Mayo Clinic study, I would post like a hashtag nausea, hashtag lavender, and then maybe even hashtag the other 2 oils that are indicated in the study, just so that if you were looking for information about nausea, you would come up with several different things that other people have posted about it. So I thought I would create a file with like some commonly suggested hashtags so everybody's kind of using the same hashtag for different things. I thought that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I hate having to dig through 500 posts to find something, so I'd really rather index it somehow so it's easy to search for. And we may need to do a training about that too. There are probably, I guess, 86% of our team said that Facebook is their favorite social media to use, but I would guess that less than half of them hashtag. So. And I only recently started to do it because my teenager is pretty good at it. Everything I know I learned from my teenager. So, okay, so something else about compliance. Stacey, do you remember what else I wanted to tell you guys about compliance?
Not off the top of my head, no.
That sounds like a pretty good summation. Yeah. Oh, I thought it would be fun too. I've been really kind of mulling over in my mind getting some fitness type strategies going. I mean, again, look at me, I'm not an athlete anymore. But I thought it'd be fun if I'm going to take a walk with my kids anyway, and I'm going to use a product to make sure my calves don't cramp for the rest of the day. drink lots of water. Those kind of overreaching health statements, wellness statements, are perfectly safe and can be shared in the Teen Ball Law group. And I think we should probably start doing a lot of it. Or like a recipe. Savannah made a smoothie the other day with Ninja Red in it. Recipes are awesome to share over there. That's above the line too. You can. Oh, that was the other piece. The labels, the Young Living labels. I think Kelsey froze. Are you still there, Kelsey?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Now you're not frozen. The labels, this one's not a good example, but the ones with the new labels on it. Hang on, I'll go get one so you can see it if you. Okay, it used to be in the past that if it had an FDA label, supplemental facts label on it, that was an excellent indication that it could be used internally. Okay. So this is the supplemental fact label I'm talking about. This label is, we go through special permission and red tape and all that stuff to get this label on the bottle. This label means the FDA has verified that taking this particular oil internally is safe, that it's considered an internal supplement, okay? And this is just a little bottle of peppermint. So we all know you can take peppermint internally. Sometimes I put it in I love putting it in my water now that now that I'm almost 40. It is one of my favorite ways to cool off in the afternoon. You know, sometimes you just get busy with stuff in the afternoon and you just get a little overheated, and it's a great way to cool down. So, hey, I should hashtag that. Anyway, so yes, it's safe to take internally. Now, you'll notice that my new lavender bottle doesn't have that on there. That is because most of the uses for lavender are what we would call topical or aromatic. Now, that you know as well as I do that we know people that have taken lavender internally, and if there was a brand of lavender that I would take internally, this would be it. But because it doesn't have an internal use label on it, we can't share that anymore because the FDA has not approved it for internal use. Now, okay, so the reason that came up the other day on the conference call was because there was a post on Facebook that said that, oh, you could clean your toilets by adding 5 drops of thieves and 5 drops of lemon and some baking soda, and voila, there's your cleaning solution. Well, she said that because thieves and lemon are rated by the FDA as internal use products, they cannot be used for external use. I know, like, can you make this any harder? Okay, so so if it has an FDA label on it, they want you to share the internal uses of it, and if it does not, they want you to share the topical and aromatic uses.
So wait, Bill.
I know, right? That's what I said.
So,
I'm like, wait,
go back.
But like Coca-Cola, like we drink it, everybody drinks it. There are also things all over that say clean your toilet with it.
Yes.
Thing.
Yes, I'm not saying that people don't know that you can also clean the corrosion off your battery in your car with it too, but that's not its suggested use. So if you're a Coca-Cola distributor,
that way.
If you're a distributor for Coca-Cola, you could get in trouble for telling people to clean their battery stems off from their toilets with it. So it's because we're distributors, not because we're users. I also said, well, we basically just need to get some doctors that will endorse our products and prescribe them, right? Because they can tell people what to do with their health, but we can't. She's like, yeah, that'd be a great idea. So if you know of any really crunchy doctors that would love to, I mean, we can't pay them because then they would be financially benefiting from their suggestions, but you know, we could refer our friends to be their patients. That would be a kind of a, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And then they could say, well, here's a prescription for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or you could this, or you could this, or there's some herbs you could take, or you could let your body work it out, or you could try some oils. You know, I mean, doctors are allowed to say all that. They're paid medical professionals. And maybe it wouldn't hurt for us to have one or two in the area that are kind of crunchy and would be willing to say something like that. That would help a lot. The couple of chiropractors on our team, that's not really a good solution because they're also members. But yeah, if we could find some non-members that would be willing to do that, I think that'd be a really good, helpful thing.
Chiropractors are considered alternative medicine anyway, so they're kind of under the same guidelines we are.
Oh, right, exactly. The other thing to remember about this FDA label is it used to be that you could just kind of trust which ones you could take internally and which ones you couldn't based on the label. But now corporate is having to make a decision as to, well, is 50% or more of the use of this oil internal or topical and aromatic? And then they're deciding which ones to go through the FDA. They all could go through the FDA process, I think, except wintergreen is something they would not encourage people to take internally because it's naturally blood thinning. So, I mean, it's a food, but it's still just really naturally blood thinning, so I don't think they would, like, license you to do that. So my point is, though, that the label is telling you just that we elected to go through the process with these oils over here and these oils over here we did not. So you're still going to have to do some research on your own to decide what to use in what case because you're in charge of your own health. Hey, Martha. It's so hard to not say something wrong. I'm just telling you. But we're getting the hang of it. What else was I going to say about that? Oh, so yeah, like lavender, 2/3 of the uses are probably topical and aromatic, so it doesn't have the FDA label on it anymore. If you want to know stuff to avoid taking internally or to use caution with around your children or on your children specifically, they will have a special child safety cap. You can still trust that, but it just kind of took Stacey and I by surprise when we were processing this the other day. I'm like, oh, wait a second. I used to decide which ones to use internally based on that label. And you still can because the ones labeled are safe, but you can't translate into okay, all these other products that don't have it aren't safe necessarily. You'll have to kind of read up on that on your own. So.
Yeah, we're not old bottles.
What? Or yeah, pull out some old bottles. Is that what you said? Yeah. Or you could look it up in one of the many resources you have at your disposal. See how hard that is? I'm like, I can't even get through a 10-minute talk about oils without wanting to say something wrong. So it'll take some practice, but we can do it. It's difficult, but it's not impossible anymore. Like I said, this light bulb went on when I'm like, oh, I can set up a separate place that isn't associated with the product information at all to share. I mean, there's a ton. I wish Judith was on the phone with us tonight. She has got like mass amounts of research because she is green and she likes to read up research, and she has tons and tons of resources that she's seen and read and shared even in the past before it became the bridge to the show that just supports how important essential oils are to our health. So yeah. I don't think there's a whole lot else I want to say about compliance at this point, other than, like I said, we have a direction to go. Anybody that's interested in, again, I'm not talking about like a intense fitness program, like, well, it could be, but I think something a little more reachable for all of us, like maybe just trying to get 30 minutes of aerobic exercise in 3 times a week. I'd like to start just practicing and modeling above the line sharing, and therefore I guess I need to have some lifestyle changes that allow above the line sharing. If I'm not doing it, I have nothing to talk. I'm having a hard time talking about something I'm not doing. So I'm gonna have to start doing some of that stuff. The protein shake tastes amazing. If you didn't make it to try it at the dinner, it is really tasty. So that's an easy thing to share about. Just hey, you're looking for a meal replacement. This one actually has the right amino acids in it, so it'll help you digest the rest of your food pretty well. So that's pretty cool. And don't forget to mark your calendars for the compliance party at Pizza Ranch on the 8th of October at 6 o'clock. We'll just get together again with our handy dandy notebooks and our laptops and delete some stuff and talk about why and kind of explore this issue a little more in depth and really get comfortable with it.
So here's something that we talked about. See if you remember, Sasha.
Okay.
What do you do when you have a team member or anyone come up to you and say, hey, my daughter has an ear infection, what do I do?
Oh, that actually just happened to me last week. Um, well, the best thing to do right now is to say, Marsha, 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 what resources do you have that you could go look that up in for yourself? That
I
would
could.
be the safest thing to say. And I did check that with the compliance officer, not with the Marsha, Marsha, Marsha thing. I just decided to do something funny because I get so nervous that I'm going to say something wrong or offend my friend that I don't want to say anything, you know. And so I've been kind of avoiding people actually because I don't want to say the wrong thing. So I thought I told Stacey, like, maybe if we just make this funny, because humor tends to make even difficult things more palatable. I thought, well, let's try some humor, and I think Marsha's funny.
Or
So I would say, Marsha, what resources do you already have that you could look that up in? And tell me what you find out. You know, I'm interested to know too. It kind of it's what's the right word? It was kind of a relief to talk to her because it's really the thrust of the boot camp training is empowering other people to make their own decisions. So you're not the expert, you're not the one doling out advice, and so this is just one more shade of that continuation of thought. You know, I shouldn't be doling out any kind of advice anyway. The person is able to think for themselves and look to help themselves. Half the time people ask, I mean, a lot of people on the team are getting really good about not asking those questions, and I really appreciate every one of you who has bit their tongue or almost posted something and refrained because I know how hard it is not to ask. I appreciate you not asking, because when you ask, it puts the person you're asking in an uncomfortable situation where they want to answer you but no, they can't. So yeah, a lot of people have been getting really good about avoiding the question in the first place. Thank you. And so even it was a little bit of a misconception. I don't even want to call it that. What I think happened was a year ago when the FDA did this at first, I think people wanted to hear what they wanted to hear, and so they thought that the FDA was allowing us to share symptom-based or systems-based health information, like, well, I don't know what you could do for the flu, but you could boost your immune system with this while you're struggling with that. Or your endocrine system might help with those hot flashes. You could address the endocrine system. See what I mean? Like, and she said very emphatically that you can't give systemic healthcare advice either. So, or even just focusing on like alleviating a symptom, because you just cannot imply nor directly treat or cure any disease. So that's the long and like I said. So all the sharing you can do as a product representative has to be above the line. So anything not sickness related. And if you are going to share anything that's below the line, it has to be devoid of any Young Living reference or any links to purchase anything. So we have to keep the two conversations separate.
Can you boost your immune system or no?
You can boost your immune system. I think, did you see that you can't boost your immune system in response to being exposed to the flu, but you could just do it because it's fall, you know.
Yeah.
People do that during school. I don't know, whatever. I'm going to go out shopping, so I'm going to boost my immune system for the day. Yeah, as long as you're implying that you're healthy to begin with, it's fine.
Right.
Yeah, good question, though. Other questions? Are you seeing the light bulb I'm seeing? I'm like, wow, we can still talk. We just have to keep it, you know, kind of like part the Red Sea and keep it separate. So, also one of the potentials I can see with this other group, and let me know if you want to be added to it, because I just told you how annoying it is to get added to groups that you have no idea what they're about or why you're being added. So if you want to be added to the new resource group, it's pretty rudimentary right now, but because I just spent the time making the group the other day, but we will definitely be filling it up with resources as quickly as possible. So I'm hoping to have quite a bit of, you know, like 5 or 6 pieces of content at the compliance party too. So, but anyway, if you want to be added to that group, just private message me after we're done or whatever, or tag me on Facebook somewhere and I'll prepare that. So, it is set up as a closed group. Closed group, if you don't know, a closed group means that Only people inside the group can see what you're posting. A closed group also means that anyone can add someone else, and so I encourage you that when you add people to that group, maybe you have someone that's like agreeing, that's looking into more information, and they just want some more information. You say, well, I belong to this group called Max League Frontier or whatever, and there's a ton of like clinical trials posted in there. You can go look around and see if there's anything that you have questions about. My suggestion to you in that case would be to kind of watch their interaction in that group pretty closely, at least for the first couple of weeks, so that way they don't feel like they were just dumped into a group and you lost interaction with them. Does that make sense? Kind of like if you were to invite someone into your storefront, you would let them have some space while they're looking, but just still watch and see if there's anything they're struggling with or need attention about. So, and if they like something, wow, then you could start a conversation like, oh, hey, I liked that article too. What did you like about it? You know, and keep the conversation going. So, in a private message, I mean. And then, so that group won't be limited to only Young Living members, because I think it might be a helpful thing as far as the marketing process is concerned. Even though the group's intent isn't to be marketing, sometimes people do just need to have a place where they can look stuff up for themselves before they make a decision. Once they make a decision on their own to buy something, of course, I would hope they would ask the person that started sharing information with them. So, and most of them would. That's common courtesy. So, yeah, the good news is everybody else has to follow these same rules. So, I want you to know that the compliance team did tell us that someone had reported some things off of Facebook, and that there's a handful of distributors out there reporting other distributors for doing non-compliant things. And I want you to know, as your team leader, that I hope none of you are doing that, because I just think it's difficult enough for us to follow the rules. I just want you, all we need to be concerned about is keeping our own house in order. I don't think it's our job to go around policing other teams. If you see something that's really blatantly non-compliant on Facebook from another team, what I've done in the past is just private message that person and said, hey, did you know that wasn't compliant? And give them a chance to correct themselves before the FDA. I don't want the FDA to get involved. I don't want them to be involved as much as they are, to be honest with you. I want to just learn how to do this right and move on. So, Mary Young, by the way, shared some similar sentiments at convention about how, you know, we're a family and she doesn't want to see a bunch of people ratting on each other, the term she actually used. And I totally agree. We have enough other oil companies out there that are trying to trash our name. We don't really need to turn on each other at this point. So even if it's another team you really don't like, I really, really, really want you to not turn them in. I want you to go to them directly and say, hey, that post wasn't compliant, and let them deal with it themselves. Rest assured, if they don't take your warning, they'll eventually get caught. So I was so surprised Rick and Melissa got a compliance phone call. Like, they don't really even post that much. They're not super aggressive marketers anyway, so I was really surprised that they saw anything. So, my hunch about the secret group is accurate. I don't think they actually can see what we're posting in the secret group, the Team Ball Lab group. But again, I want to go on record saying that means even though the FDA can't see what's in our secret group, it is extremely important that everything in there is compliant, because people share stuff that gets posted in there routinely. So I don't have enough time in one day to monitor what's being shared and what's not. So if everything being shared is safe to be shared outside, sorry, that kind of sounded confusing. If everything inside the group is safe to be shared outside, then I can walk away from the group and let it have its own conversation and a life of its own and not hover over it, worried that something will get shared that shouldn't be. So everything that goes in is compliant. That way everything that gets shared back out is compliant. So plus also we have new people going in there all the time. It's really important to them that we model compliant behavior. It's the best way to teach them. I would really rather everybody that starts with us from here forward doesn't have to learn the bad habits and then unlearn it like we've had to. So it's just better just to do it that way. And I think you guys are all on board with that. I haven't heard a whole lot of resistance, unless you're all grumbling behind my back. Lord knows I am grumbling a little myself. I'm sorry. It's just a big language change. So anyway, any other questions about compliance? I feel like I'm rambling now.
I don't have anything.
No? Okay. Well, I think we should probably wrap her up for tonight. Thank you so much for showing up. And like I said, we'll talk more about Twitter probably next month. And most people aren't on Twitter yet, but I think that's if I were to pick another one, maybe Google Plus would be another one people might be interested in learning more about using. So, but the meantime, maybe start thinking about just 2 or 3 interesting articles you would want to share, starting to pique some interest and get some conversations going, and asking questions. What do people think about certain things? There's a big, huge, long. I think there was over 100 comments on an article about vaccinations the other day, and it wasn't heated. I was so surprised. But sometimes people just want to have a conversation and they don't see it from other perspectives because they just see it the way they have always seen it. So it's okay to start conversations like that. That's not controversial. It's your reaction to people disagreeing with you that makes it controversial. So, anyway, with that said, thank you again. I really adore all of you, and I can't wait to see where this team's going to be in a year. I think it'll be amazing. I feel so relaxed and relieved that we finally have a clearer direction of how to just keep those subjects separate and empower people to get more information for themselves. So, like I said, make sure and let me know on Facebook or otherwise if you want to be added to that group so that you can start adding to some of the resources we share and learning from each other, different studies, and I might even just pull some stuff out of the best reference once in a while. That might be worthwhile to read. So, okay, have a good night.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.